just throwing out a few names: Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Louis Adson. You got some people on, you know?
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
Right off the top. There's so many messages. In other words, there have been so many ways. I mean, we were all little kids, and we all got these beautiful gifts, but we got gifts to give back that our memory banks will immediately flash and go, oh, right, remember this guy? Wow, yeah, he died so young. Oh, remember this?
Right.
Oh, yeah, he died so young. And yeah, they made money because they woke people up and gave them love.
Getting back to like and I hate using the term conspiracy theory, but it is what it is. I always found it very bizarre that those people did die at such a young age, and I tend to believe that maybe not everybody. I'm sure with some of those pop stars and rock stars, there was drugs involved, and they just died at a very unfortunate age because of the use of that substance. Right. But not 100% of those people. For instance, let's use John Lennon as an example. He died it was December 8th, 1981, and it's funny. I've never been a straight A student, but I can remember that time vividly. In social studies, we had to write an article every week about a magazine article and do a report on it. And I chose John Lennon's death. And my teacher was so blown away by it, he actually got me up in front of the class and I had to read my 2-page essay on how John Lennon died, and I got an A+ on that paper. But even at the age of 12 or 13, which I was at that time, I was blown away that the fact that man had so much going on for him, and he was in the midst of making such a positive change, and his life was snuffed out like that. Yeah. And I knew that was a window of time that had just closed. As sad as it really struck me as a very vivid and very tumultuous event in our life. Anyway, I read a book called John Lennon and the FBI Files, and it was really interesting in that the author of the book, of course, said, well, okay, so you may say, why would they being maybe the New World Order, the CIA, or whoever it might be, want to snuff John Lennon out? Well, the fact of the matter is, and he quoted it in his book, the Beatles had sold, and still to this day, have sold millions and millions and millions and millions, as probably upwards of in the hundreds of millions of albums to people in the world. And at that time, there was an average of, I think, 2 to 3 Beatles albums in every American household. Yeah. So then you think about the amount of intellect and influence that could have on those people, just the lyrics alone in those songs. Sure. So why would the CIA want to snuff out John Lennon? Well, maybe that's why. Then what they did, the author of the book tracked Mark David Chapman's life travels leading up to the time when he actually assassinated John Lennon. And the thing about it that was bizarre and surreal about him was this: he was a vagabond who didn't have any income. There was no pension. There was no money source. But somehow in his world travels, he managed to go to places like Afghanistan and other dots on the map where the CIA was known to have experimental brainwashing laboratories going on. And yeah, this may sound, again, extreme and bizarre, but I think it's at least worth talking about. That how did this man get the money to travel around the world? And then 2 or 3 years later, he, as the lone wolf scenario, as a deranged fan, groupie of John Lennon, shoots him. I just find that unbelievable. It's not just a figment of my imagination. There's more to that picture. Yeah. And that's just one example. I mean, you get into JFK, you get into
JFK was shot by his driver.
Right.
Turns out it shot him right in the head.
And then you can look at Princess Di. Anybody who's ever going against the grain of the mainstream, one way or another, lost their lives at a very early age.
That happens. And it's happened to a lot of beautiful people.
Right. And it's time that situation, that process of havoc stops. And those people, they should be the presidents of the world. They're not just pop stars. They're people that make a difference, and they enlighten us to the better. Bob Marley is another one. Like, look at him. Look at his life. Look where he was going. And
he's snuffed out.
Well, we're going to go enjoy life and go partake in nature. So we'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah. out.